When I found this for just £110 in the AliExpress 11/11 sale, I thought, that's it. That's the best deal of the sale. So naturally, I grabbed it. Then it arrived and I realised I was completely wrong. Because this isn't just the best deal of the sale, it might just be the best deal AliExpress has ever put into the wild. Full stop. Don't believe me? Stick around while I make my case. And if you've seen a better deal, by all means, drop it in the comments and ruin or make my day. My first impression of this was basically, it's annoying. Because nothing about it jumps out or screams for attention, it just feels and looks right. The case is clean and restrained, no design gymnastics and no over-the-top flourishes. Its shape disappears on the wrist in the best possible way and it just lets you get on with wearing it. And it's stupidly versatile. This doesn't feel like a diver that's been designed for divers. It feels like it's aiming at the same space as something like the Black Bay 58. Same idea, same audience, just delivered with a bit more restraint and a bit more elegance. And yes, I'm fully aware of how unhinged that sounds, to suggest a £100 AliExpress watch as an alternative to a Tudor. But I own both, and I'm comfortable with my choices. This isn't rage bait, but you're free to get angry in the comments anyway. Size-wise, it hits that sweet spot where it feels compact and purposeful, but never flimsy. There's a slight vintage lean to the proportions, but it still has enough presence to remind you it's a modern watch. And the visual thinness is surprising once you realise it's not cheating. This isn't a fake diver with a token water resistance, it's a full 200 metres and somehow still sits lower than most watches that offer half of that. The dial keeps the same energy, simple, glossy and calm. Nothing is fighting for attention and nothing is trying to be clever. And yet, the more you look, the more you get this sense that a lot of care went into it. Little touches that you don't clock straight away, you just feel them. Specs-wise, it's a 39mm brushed and polished stainless steel case, just 45.4mm lug to lug and 11.5mm thick. It has a double domed sapphire crystal with AR coating, that gorgeous enamel dial, BGW9 lume on the dial hands and bezel, the smooth sweeping PT5000 movement with a 6 o'clock date window, a screw down crown and solid case back, giving that all important 200 metres of water resistance and a solid bracelet. Overall, the first impressions are that this is a watch made by someone who knew exactly when to stop. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's not trying to sell you a story. It fits properly and refuses to give you anything obvious to criticise, which frankly is rude at this price. The more eagle-eyed among you will probably recognise where this is coming from. The overall case design, and really the watch as a whole, is clearly drawing inspiration from the Christopher Ward C65 Trident. And yes, this isn't a photocopy, it's more like an honest homage. The influence is obvious, but it's not pretending to be a Geely dressed up to look like a Volvo. If anything, it's the case that borrows the most from the C65 formula. The general language just scaled down by a couple of millimetres, and frankly, that's no bad thing. The C65 is a fantastic looking skin diver with casework that's interesting without being performative, and shrinking that idea slightly only improves the wearability. It keeps the character but loses some of the bulk. From the top, it's very restrained, maybe even too restrained. Clean surfaces, fine brushing running from lug tip to lug tip and nothing flashy. But once you turn it even slightly, the case starts to show a bit more personality. There's a thick, straight brush chamfer running around the mid-case, giving it a sort of waistline and visually breaking up the mass. Below that, the case is polished and sweeps inward, which does a lot of work in making the watch look thinner than it already is, and it is already thin. From the side, the case is more curved than you'd expect. The lugs flow down in one continuous motion, with no flat slabs or awkward steps, just smooth transitions that let it sit properly on the wrist, even if your wrists are more diet spaghetti than tree trunks. The bezel sticks closely to the skin diver idea. It's ceramic, black and noticeably thinner than most modern divers, which keeps the watch looking light and vintage without feeling underbuilt. The lume is filled high, including a double filled triangle at 12, so you can feel the orientation without looking, which I assume divers care about, though statistically speaking, my assumptions are usually wrong. Grip-wise, the coin edge is a bit short and slightly fiddly at first, but once you get a hold of it, the action is solid. You get 120 loud positive clicks. It's not buttery or refined. You can tell a click spring is doing its thing, but it's honest and snaps back into place with only a hint of backplay. Have a listen. The crown follows a similar theme. It's on the small side and not the easiest to grab, but once you do, it's smooth, positive and reassuring to use. One thing I genuinely appreciate here is that the movement doesn't wind while you're screwing the crown back in. Anyone familiar with ETA 2824 derived movements, including the PT5000, will know why that matters. I tend to avoid manually winding on these altogether and just let the rotor do its thing after a quick shake, so it's nice not to have that extra stress built in. Flip the watch over and you get a solid steel case back. I know exhibition backs are popular, but for a diver, I'll take a solid every time. Yes, display backs can hit serious water resistance ratings these days. And yes, I know it's mostly psychological, but if I'm actually taking a watch anywhere near water, a solid case pack just feels right. Call it a placebo if you want, I'm fine with that. It also helps keep everything low profile, which is what this watch is all about. And visually, it's anything but boring. The outer edge is polished with porthole style notches for opening, and in the centre you've got a deeply etched design of two stingrays locked in what looks like some kind of ritualistic underwater dance. If that doesn't whisper proper dive watch, I'm not sure what does. The bracelet is a straightforward brush 3-link, executed well. The brushing is consistent and there are no sharp edges and the articulation is smooth so it wears comfortably. The female end links keep everything compact, especially on smaller wrists, and while there's a tiny bit of play if you go looking for it, you'll never notice it in use. The big update on this V2 is the on-the-fly adjustment clasp. Functionally, it's solid. It's the familiar AliExpress design and it works exactly as intended. My issue is proportion. On a watch this compact and vintage leaving, it feels a bit oversized. Practical, yes, but a slimmer clasp would have suited the watch better. The clasp itself is otherwise simple and mostly unsigned, which you might assume is cost-cutting. Oddly, Proxima has signed it, just somewhere you'll almost never see it. Not a problem, just one of those choices that makes you pause briefly and then move on. Under that slightly ridiculous top hat, double-domed AR-coated sapphire is what I genuinely think is one of the most beautiful dials you'll find on any watch. Not the most interesting dial in the world, no. And that's exactly the point. Proxima isn't trying to impress you with tricks and textures, it's winning purely on execution. It's a white enamel finish done properly. Dead flat, perfectly even, glossy enough to catch the light, but not so glossy that it starts looking like cheap bathroom tiles. And there's just a hint of warmth to it, not stark fridge white, more a subtle creamy tone that stops it feeling clinical. It's a dial that looks calm in photos, then pops in person. Thankfully, Proxima haven't cluttered it up either. The typography is minimal and well balanced, with just 2 lines of text splitting neatly across the dial so nothing feels top heavy or cramped. The V2 uses the all-caps serif Proxima logo, which is a massive improvement. The old lowercase logo looked like it was having an identity crisis, somewhere between Comic Sans and a cry for help. This one actually feels grown up. Down at 6 you've got a date window with a simple black border. Inside is the standard PT5000 date wheel with its slightly odd, random period-looking font, but honestly, it works. It matches the rest of the dial far better than if it had some ultra-clean sans serif text. There's also an SW200 version of this watch with a different date font entirely. And whether that's better or worse, I'll let the comments section fight that one out. The applied markers are clearly inspired by the newer C65 models. Again, homage rather than photocopy. Triangle at 12, trapezoids at 3, 6 and 9, and circles everywhere else. They're polished, sharply finished, and they absolutely light up against the enamel dial. There's lots of contrast, lots of depth, and it all just feels quite expensive. The hands continue that theme. Classic Christopher Ward style batons, or ice lollies, depending on how charitable you're feeling, brushed through the centre with crisp polished edges. Clean transitions and no fuzziness. The second hand is slim and elegant and finished with a lume-filled lollipop that feels nicely proportioned. And this is where the attention to detail I mentioned earlier quietly shows itself. In one of the smallest things on the watch, the second hand is properly capped. It's such a minor detail that most people will never clock it, and that's exactly why it works. It cleans up the centre of the dial, hides the pinion, and just makes everything feel finished. You don't consciously notice it at first, you just get a sense that the dial looks right. It's the kind of thing brands usually don't bother with at this price, or any price to be honest, and once you've spotted it, it's hard to unsee. And onto the lume, and this thing is an absolute torch. It glows like it's trying to get attention from space. BGW9 absolutely everywhere. The markers are packed, the hands are bright, and the lollipop lights up, and even the bezel gets in on the action. For such a thin bezel, the lume fill is genuinely impressive. Yes, the bezel isn't quite as nuclear as the dial itself, but it's close enough that nothing feels mismatched. The end result is a watch that doesn't shout, doesn't show off, and yet somehow ends up being ridiculously satisfying to look at, day or night. It's simple, yes, but it's the kind of simple that only works when everything else has been nailed. And here, it really is. On the wrist, it's exactly what the specs promise. Comfortable, stable, and low slung with no top-heavy wobble or awkward balance. It sits close to the wrist and stays there, which is really what you want from a watch like this. The bracelet does a lot of the heavy lifting. It's flexible, well finished, and the female end links genuinely help keep the whole thing wearing compact. Nothing feels stiff or overbuilt, but the clasp is still the weak spot. It's huge, comically so, to the point where it covers most of the underside of my wrist. It's well balanced and it doesn't feel uncomfortable, but visually it's all a bit much. And yes, it's going to get scratched to hell, especially if your day job involves the high-risk activity of typing aggressively. At around £110, sometimes less if AliExpress is feeling generous, this watch doesn't just compete, it embarrasses things that cost 3, 4 or even 5 times the money. The build quality is genuinely excellent, the proportions are near perfect, and that enamel dial has absolutely no business existing at this price point. None. It's not loud, it's not gimmicky, and it's not relying on specs as marketing. It just delivers a level of finish, restraint and design confidence that most luxury watches never even aim for, never mind budget pieces. Is it perfect? No. Perfection is expensive, but this is far too cheap to be this good. If you judge value as what you get versus what you pay, then yes, I'll say it, this might genuinely be the best deal AliExpress has ever unleashed. And that's not hype, that's just maths. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.